Welcome to the Two Cool Parents Podcast with your host, Will and Shay.
Hey, y'all.
What's good?
Our podcast is for the cool but corny in all of us.
CBC.
Like, subscribe, rate, share. Tune in, y'all.
Let's go.
Hello.
Back for another one.
And another one.
Oh.
It's the boogie down, y'all. Let it go,
What's
y'all.
going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Two Cool Parents Podcast with your hosts, Will and Shay. I'm Will.
I'm Shay.
And we're back. So if you can't tell right now, we're having like a hip-hop moment.
I said a hip hop, the hip to the hip hop, and you don't stop.
So Shay and I have had the opportunity since Shay's now home to catch up on some TV.
Facts. I do love a good story.
So we've caught up on a docuseries called Hip Hop Evolution. I saw it when it first dropped about a year ago. And I've been waiting to like get Shay to come and watch it. Like, Shay, come watch it. She's like, I'm always busy. I don't have time for TV.
I was.
And she was. So, you know, with Shay being home now, right, while we're looking for...
What you trying to say, babe?
With Shay being available, how about that? Her available timing now for her to...
I can catch up on some TV.
She's catch up on Pose, which is her new show.
I love Pose, by the way.
And if you don't know what Pose is, it's talking about the early... house music,
but we'll get into that.
And stuff like that back in like the early 80s, late 70s in New York City, with, you know, the balls and the voguing and stuff like that. So that's when she's gotten into, but she'll get into that in a minute. But we also caught up on Hip Hop Evolution, like I said, just talking about the evolution of hip hop, and which again I want to also bring up. You know, we should change some dates when it comes to music and history and stuff like that. So we'll talk about it in a minute. This is going to be kind of like our rant episode. We're still going to talk about how it affects as being two cool parents and what this has done for our relationship. But we're going to center it around hip hop.
I just wanted to say that this documentary was made by Canadians, so that's interesting to say.
Well, I mean, hip hop is worldwide now. It's not just.
I'm just saying that it wasn't hip hop. I mean, it was definitely done by a fan of hip hop. His name is Shad. He's a Canadian rapper.
So is Drake.
Yes, I'm just saying it wasn't.
Shouts out to our people north of the border.
Yes. That's all I'm saying is give some love to the Canadians.
Oh, yeah.
They represent the hip hop nation as well.
They do. So again, this series really started off. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on Netflix. We're not sponsored by Netflix, but it's definitely a great piece. And we kind of want to talk about it and then how it also affects within relationships. So again, within our relationship, we've been able to sit down as a couple to watch this docuseries, and it's pretty awesome. And Shay had a great aha moment. I got to see her face when the aha moment. So of course,
he loves it when I have aha moments because my eyes actually open.
So, and if you don't know, June is actually Black Music Month, where we celebrate Black music. But I feel like it's underplayed now because shouts out to all of our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQIA community with Pride Month, because Pride Month is huge. It's about love, which again goes back to like I said, it's gonna be a rant piece. Let me tell you why this is my rant piece.
Well, can you first tell them the name of the documentary?
I said it's Hip Hop Evolution.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So my rant piece is this, and we're going to get into this. So in the documentary, we find out that on August 11th, 1973, DJ Kool Herc, the godfather of hip hop, if you don't know, you'll learn. And also, if you actually Google, you know, Kool Herc, it'll to bring you up this. And even Google, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, had the DJing turntables, and basically he took the break beats of certain songs and put it, you know, looped it.
Drew A. Correa.
No. That's Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah,
we're talking about Kurt. So Kurt, you know, he did this, and it was at the houses up in Sedgwick, and up in the Bronx, and
While the Bronx was burning.
It was during this tumultuous time, but it's actually a documentary you can watch before that called The Ghetto Brothers, who kind of also kind of led to this change in the music of what was happening. And also, if you watch The Get Down, which was another Netflix series that got canceled,
but it was good. It was produced by Nas.
It's pretty much like between how hip hop was started, how it became what it was then was created. So back to what I'm saying is that on August 11th, this is what hip hop has now become on that date. And what I mean by we should change some things when it comes to Black history.
Yes, what's the rant?
My rant is this. We need to move Black History Month to August. And
why August?
Well, one, center it around...
It's hot.
It's cold in February. We just talked about this. It's going to be hot in Vegas. But I mean... What I mean by that is move it to that time of year, because then we can celebrate it around black music. And I know some folks will say, well, why just hip hop? Well, we do jazz and everything too. Well, I feel that, again, with Pride Month taking June and everyone changing their logos to the rainbow and to show solidarity for our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQIA, I feel that Black Music Month has been watered down in the month. So I feel that we should move it to August to celebrate August 11th of hip hop being born. And within that also aspect of hip hop being born, we can celebrate other genres of music in which Black music has been the pulse of the country, to say for jazz, to say for rock and roll, to say for disco, to say for pop, to say for all of that, because we can then center it in a month where we can show the heritage of Black music. And then the other part is my other piece of my rant, and this is me on my Joe Rogan experience. Shouts out to Joe Rogan. Don't know him yet, but I would love to meet him one day. Is the fact that we celebrate Black history in February. And the main part of that is history. It's past. Just like, when you think about it, it's, every time we talk about it, it's what did this person do? What did this person do? We've now, in this day and age, have created Black excellence, excellence moving going forward, but we still give homage to what we had before. I suggest that we take the word history out of Black History Month, change it to Black African American Heritage Month in the month of August, with Black African American music as well, so we can celebrate not again just that going forward with hip hop, with Afrobeat, with dance, with techno. A lot of people don't know who Frankie Knuckles is, which Shay will talk about because she watches Pose, who came up with house music. It's stuff like that. It's just
I'm doing snaps over here. I know you can't hear it,
can't hear, but she's snapping.
There we go.
But it's just that thing. So again, and if you look at other ethnic backgrounds, they talk about Latin heritage, Asian Pacific Islander heritage. They don't say history, they say heritage. And we have to understand.
I think it was called history so we don't forget the history.
Correct. I'm not saying we gotta forget the history, but we also need to bring it to update it to say, okay, we like on let's say, or if we want to keep it in February, just change it from history to Heritage Month. February.
I was gonna say, I think moving it from February to August is a tall request.
It's not a tall request,
especially since August is National Crayon Collection Month, and that's like important, along with National Peach Month and National Happiness Happens Month, National Sandwich Month, Get Ready for Kindergarten Month, Black Business Month, National Immunization Awareness Month. But there's a lot of good things. I'm saying this sarcastically for those who can't hear it. There are a lot of good things that happen in August that, it would trump, if we move
Trump,
Black
really?
history.
We're going to say that name on here?
That's why I said it. A little play on words there. So I think I'm with you on maybe we can say Black Heritage Month.
Black African American Heritage Month.
Whatever you want to call it. Black History, Heritage. I think modernizing the name of it, yes. I agree with you on that, but I think it's still synonymous to keep it in February with Martin Luther King's birthday and...
Martin Luther King's birthday was in January.
It was in January.
Yeah.
That's why I just paused, because I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we have it in February?
I don't know.
Whose birthday is it?
You got the smartphone.
It was somebody's birthday. That's why they moved
it. The president's birthday's in there, but I think they were like, oh, well, you got February. No, but
so this is what I mean. But Black history has become, and this is what really Will is getting at. I'm gonna just sum it all up for everybody in like a neat bow. So Will is saying that Black History Month is very stagnant right now. We still focus on the history part and not the evolution or the achievements that have happened currently.
And we see people like saying, oh, Black excellence moving
and
forward.
And we do use hashtags and things like that to say Black history is every day, or, you know, everyday Black history, things like that, which moves the conversation forward or keeps it current. So that's what I think I agree with Will, is moving the conversation forward. However, hip hop month, or if we want to call it that, or hip hop evolution, whatever you want to call it, Will, we could just add that into National Sandwich Month and just add that into the list of months for August. I think it's a dope cause, but keep them separate. Only because hip hop is just one facet of Black American, right now African.
But the thing is, we're focused right now on pop culture aspect of.
It is, but it shouldn't always be just about pop culture.
It shouldn't. But the thing is,
it should be about all the aspects that Black Americans have contributed to this country, including William, the ugly part.
Of course, I'm not taking away from that.
I'm just saying.
Thank you for counterparting me.
Let's just put it all in a package.
Okay. All right. But if we can't move it to August.
Plus, it's hot. Why we gotta put it in August? Like,
everybody going to cook out anyway. Doesn't matter.
August don't have no like days off. It's no like, you know, holidays in August. It's a long month.
I feel like we should move it there.
Okay.
I mean, I might not be.
So you know what? We're gonna put it to a vote. We're gonna put it on the poll on our Instagram page, and if you agree with Will and Black American Heritage,
Black African American Heritage Month should be moved to the month of August to celebrate Black African American heritage, not just Black people here in America, but African Americans worldwide,
to coincide with the birth of hip hop.
To coincide with the birth of hip hop, allow us to have a month where, you know, we can be fully out and about and have fun, because, you know, February be cold, and then you got to worry about. The thing is, here's the thing: if you go to any website in the month of February, they have up President's Day, they have up Valentine's Day, but they have nothing up for Black History Month.
Of course, Pride Month isn't about. They don't even have the Philly flag that they did. They redid for Pride Month, which includes African Americans. They added black and brown in their stripe for Philly. So if you go downtown to Philly and you look at the Pride flag,
not just Philly, but they added black and brown for national too.
Well, I haven't seen it, but most companies just do the standard rainbow.
Standard rainbow. They're like, oh well, this encompasses all.
Let me just pause. So previously at my previous company, there was this whole discussion about, should the rainbow be bright or should the rainbow be muted?
How can you meet the rainbow?
So whether or not they do bold colors of the rainbow, or they do like softer colors of the rainbow, they ended up going with softer colors of the rainbow. But I was just like, there really is a whole meeting for this.
There is. But what I'm saying is,
I just thought that was extra. It's probably why I'm not there anymore. They saw it on my face like girl, bye. Literally.
You said it, not me.
Ow. I'm trying to have fun with it.
We have to. That's why I'm trying to have fun with you about it, so you can move on about it. But anyway,
ready for some fun.
All right now. Anyway, but that's my little rant piece. But again, back to hip hop evolution. It was definitely a great.
Wait a minute, you didn't even finish going on with your whole rant.
What is my rant? I move Black History Month to August to call it Black African American Heritage Month, especially around hip hop. How is the pulse of the culture? We can then still incorporate who and what have done for Black African Americans in the world, not just here in the U.S. You know, I'm thinking you can say I'm on my Eric Killmonger right now. You know.
All right, and what color do you want them? The RBG?
Yeah, Pan-African flag. Why not?
All right. You know, so that's what we'll want. So, and then I'll put it to a vote to see.
We'll put it out there. We'll see how it sticks.
So check our Instagram page for our vote to see whether or not we should move this to August.
Yeah.
I am in favor of keeping it in February. and renaming it.
But again, no one on their websites,
title.
no one in their thing, everything that comes around February is like, oh, go buy her this biggest diamond for Valentine's Day. Go buy some damn candy for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
But no,
sharing is caring. Showing love is amazing.
Yeah, but if we focus, again, Black History Month is 365. But Black History is 365. But if we change it to Black African American Heritage Month and really go hard in the month of August, have our month, like a huge month in the summertime, we have parades.
It should have been June.
It should have been.
So we could celebrate Juneteenth.
Right. But
clearly that's when.
All right. But I don't want to take.
Folks in Texas figured it out.
Right. But I don't want to take nothing away from our brothers and sisters in LGBTQIA.
I'm with you. I just don't think that summer is the right month for it.
Or we're going to do it in May because everybody have we have an end of the month cookout, Memorial Day.
No,
boom.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's a big month.
Okay, so all right, then April.
April is what is April?
What is
it's something every month, and
then Easter falls in April. We have a huge Easter type ordeal. Then everybody can come out fly. Boom.
Now you talk about your CME Baptist. Christmas, Mother Day, and Easter.
What's in April?
World Autism Awareness Month. So you can't take that from me.
See, you can't do the march because that's International Women's Month.
It is.
January's what? Too cold. Nothing's in January besides Martin Luther King birthday.
Heart Month, National Heart Month.
Okay, so August.
January awareness.
We can do. Want to do July?
Let's see. What are the months?
What I'm saying is, I think.
So January is
moving from February to later. July, August. I'm calling it.
Glaucoma month? Yeah, we could take over January.
Who's gonna do what in January? It's hard enough for me to have.
It's
hard enough for me to get people to come out for my birthday around Thanksgiving. So you think they're gonna come out January? Oh no, dog.
And March is also National AIDS Awareness.
So March is done.
And March is Epilepsy Month. April is Irritable Bowel Syndrome Month, but it's also National Autism Month. Oral Cancer Awareness Month. What type of? It's a lot going on.
August.
May.
What's in July? What's in July?
July is nothing really. International Group B Strep Awareness.
Boom. We July. Calling it July. July 1st.
Juvenile Arthritis Awareness. World Hepatitis Day.
I'm still sold on August for August 11th.
That's National Breastfeeding Month. The mothers in the world are gonna fight you for August.
it's look, I'm sorry.
It is National Breastfeeding Week. It's super important because that's when women fight to be able to breastfeed in public.
Okay, cool.
So it can't be August.
And
July is.
And you know what? We'll be out there to support you too. We love
September
titties.
Is ovarian cancer and.
Well, we worry about September. We worry about August and July. And right
October
now,
is breast cancer and domestic violence. November is diabetes and lung cancer.
Sugar's month with all that pie.
December 1st is World AIDS Day. But December might be a good candidate.
Nah, it's too cold still. Back to Christmas.
Holiday. Santa Claus. I just want to let everybody know that it is now officially you have been notified. There are 6 months left of the year. We have reached the halfway point.
And everyone needs to go buy their gifts in October when it's cheap.
You know, I hate it when he does that. I really do.
Everyone else is doing this shit. You're not the only one.
But I did it first.
No.
Me and Jada Pinkett Smith did it first. Because she was the one that saw Oprah, who did it many moons ago. And I just happened to be home when I was watching Oprah.
And okay.
Moving on, let's go back to this
docuseries.
So we got way off topic.
So the docuseries talks about Kool Herc creating the break beats and everything like that.
I just looked at my thing and I was like, Florida weed identification. What was I looking at?
What are you doing?
I was looking at weeds, like weeds outside
in the ground
that grow. Yes.
They all kind of grow. The ones that you don't smoke. Gotcha.
Not indica and
sativa. There you go. But yeah, so we
I mean, you could smoke this, but I don't think you would.
Oh my gosh. Someone come get your friend.
I'm on a roll today.
Someone come get your friend.
I'm on a roll.
But no, the docuseries was amazing. Like, he talked about how it went from hurt to Bambaataa, with the Zulu Nation up there, how, you know, Bam was a part of this crew. Again, if you go back to watching the Jungle Brothers, the Ghetto Brothers, about the gangs in New York at that time, if you've seen the movie The Warriors, it's partly based off of that. Then, you know, how, you know, they all came together, had like a conclave of everyone coming together, and they created partly the Zulu Nation, and, you know, how hip hop was built on the fundamentals of, you know, breakdancing, graffiti art, DJs, MCs, and knowledge. So that's what, you know, they were given to that, and just expounded on past there. We found out that Grandmaster Flash, who I actually met, because his son stayed in my freshman dorm room my senior year. And shout out to Hampton University. What up, family? And I actually met him, and how he found out how he was like, because he was taboo to touch the record. Like, you wouldn't touch the record to keep the loop going, and he figured out how to touch. If I touch the record, I can control it like an instrument. Like, and now DJs. You know, shouts out to, you know, Apollo Black, Baby Drew, Phil, Tay James, all the DJs who've been very influential in my life and teaching me new stuff and stuff like that. You know, how I don't see them as just regular DJs. They are artists. They are, you know, musicians, because that turntable is an instrument, and it was just amazing to see how it did that.
Even broke it down how, you know, DJing became a artist too. You know how the DJs became an artist. There was this conclave that they would go to at the Roosevelt Hotel.
Well, no, that was season 2. Still season 1, they talked about DJ Hollywood.
Can I just talk?
Well, no.
That doesn't matter.
It does.
Season
because you're going out of chronological order, my sister.
Okay, well then you go in chronological order and let me know when I can chime in.
We found out the first MC was DJ Hollywood.
I mean, do we have to go in chronological order?
I just want to give, you know, credit where credit is due.
Fine. Let me know when I can jump in.
Okay, I'll point to you. Thanks. How about that?
Tag me in. Oh, now I'm tagged in.
No, I'm just making sure you're ready for the point. But no, like it was a great chronological
tour through hip hop. Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody who's listening, if you're a hip hop head, you already know a lot of this stuff, so you already good. But for those who want a little extra credit, a little extra classes on the history of hip hop and kind of who were the movers and shakers and maybe some of the black players that you didn't really know about, this is the documentary series for you.
Definitely. And
I loved how they talked about DJs.
They talked about DJs. They also talked about, you know, music in the South, how it got respect, how Uncle Luke, shout out to Tula Crew.
Yes.
You know,
oh, you jumping ahead now.
Oh, I mean,
that was season 2.
Well, season 1 was pretty much, you know, talking about
boring stuff. Not boring, but older stuff. It was boring.
You sound like one of but matter of fact, we was watching that part where they talked about how Russell changed Run DMC, because they originally were rapping with, like, you know, the jackets and everything. And he's like, the best thing Russell did was take him out those jackets and put a black
Kango and some Adidas.
And then Melly Mel was like, they came out here, and excuse my language, y'all, they came in here and fucked up the game. That was literally how we feel today about new hip hop, because Melly Mel and running them
hip hop stuff. So for those who don't know, your girl is, I won't say I'm a hip hop head, but yeah, I know a thing or two about a track. Or 2 or 3.
Listen to this track.
I have, you know, I grew up with a brother who was born in the 70s, who, you know, came home with all of these amazing hip hop tracks from the 80s and 90s. His kind of niche group was that backpack area of Tribe Called Quest. Like, he was very much
Native Tongue,
into Native Tongue, Busta, Ja Rule the Damager. Like, that was his Latifah. Like, that was his
Moni Love, De La
Soul. He was very much into that era of hip hop. And so with him being so much focused into that, those records that he would bring home, I would then play. And I took an early liking to, you know, all of that music. I loved it. It was something totally different than what my parents were playing, which was at the time, you know, late 80s, early 90s was dominated by your Whitney Houston's, Mariah Carey's first album, Michael Jackson, Prince, kind of those heavy hitters, and of course the Motown era. My parents grew up in the Motown era, and so heavy influences from all of those Temptations, Diana Ross and the Supremes, like all of those heavy hitters. And so hearing hip hop from a young age for me was like, whoa, this is something totally different. And I loved it. I wanted to hear more of it. I had to hear more of it. And it wasn't until I was super early. Like, I mean, I'm like 4 or 5 listening to this stuff. So I will never forget, like, watching my brother, vibe out to this kind of music. And when he brought home Wu-Tang's first album, I was like, why is all this screaming and yelling on the track? And he was like, it's a totally new sound. Like, this is New York's answer to the West Coast. Because at the time, Dr. Dre and Snoop were just getting out. I remember when my brother brought home Doggy Style, and my mom was like, you are not about to play that in this house. That girl has her butt out on the cover of the album. But I didn't know this. Shout out to Uncle Luke, because Uncle Luke was really the one who was instrumental in getting that parental advisory sticker put it on your records. So before then, you couldn't be, what was it, 13, babe? You had to be older than 13, I think, to buy
I did a paper on this back in high school where, like, the parental advisory, and it wasn't just Luke, it was attacking, there was actually, when they attacked it was Frank Zappa. He was a rock artist who, also fought against the parental advisory, where they were attacking Luke and other artists like him, and Frank Zappa and I forget the other artists. It was another rock and roll group, and they were against it. But when it came to Luke, it was like, oh, your lyrics are saying this and the third, and this is, this.
And don't get me wrong, they were demeaning women. They were calling women B's and H's, and it was bad, and they were saying all the words of the potty language is what I call it with my kids, but they was cursing on the tracks, every other word.
They were. I mean, but that's part of the reason why, for me, like, when it came to hip hop, I grew up not really immersed in it. Like, I knew a couple tracks here and there from, like, watching BET as a kid, but I grew up on soul. So, like, when I hear some of the music from hip hop and soul and jazz and gospel, like, I'm like, oh, they sampled this. I didn't know they sampled this. It was like, my dad has an extensive album collection, and that's something that I want to pass down to, like, to my kids as well. And I've been able to share that with Shay, because Shay even can tell you, like, I'll do like a sample thing, and she's like, I can't stand it when he does this. But then she ends up liking the music.
Never anybody that I know. It's always like a jazz artist, and I'm like, who is that?
But she ends up liking the music anyway. Oh, wow, I didn't know that this happened. I didn't know that this was.
And I have a musical appreciation for just about every genre. I can listen to everything except for probably heavy metal. But other than that, it's like, I truly appreciate all kinds of music. I grew up playing instruments. I love it. Love music, love hip hop, love the evolution that is still currently happening today. Like, one of the things I'm always looking for, and I like have a couple people on my social media that I hit up. I'll be like, who's out now? Who's hitting? What's good? What's popping? Because I always want to keep my ear tuned to the new and upcoming, younger generation. I used to read The Source religiously. It would come to my house. I used to read Word Up, The Source.
Not Word Up.
Yeah.
Not Word Up.
Word Up for my pictures. You had to get your pictures out of Word Up and hang them up on your wall.
I remember reading The Source and giving the mic, the mic levels of, stuff like that. That's when I got into hip hop. Like, I mean, I kind of, my hip hop was like surface. Like, I remember, like, when I first heard Rappers Delight, it wasn't the Sugar Hill Gang. It was actually when
Keith Murray,
Redman, and Eric Sermon redid it.
Yes.
Then I kind of went down. My dad was like, "Oh, that's an old school joint. You can go back and listen to it." And I will.
KEI, the TEH,
D to the double E. Right, that one.
They call it Keith Murray.
What else was it? There was
That's when you realize, oh wait, there are more lyrics.
There's more lyrics.
here.
I mean, because I didn't have an older brother like you did to usher me into that. I kind of fell upon it myself. So like I said, my hip hop was at the surface level, and then I tell people this all the time that I really didn't become a hip hop head until Kanye West. Mm-hmm. And
that's okay. I feel like whenever you fall in love with hip hop is when you fall in love with hip hop.
Right.
I fell in love with hip hop not in my brother's era, so I didn't. As much as I loved listening to Tribe and Busta, those weren't my, people that are my go-to hip hop heads. I fell in love with Nas, Biggie, Jay, like The Firm, like Dr. Dre, like those are my. Hip hop influences.
And I knew other
Rakim,
songs and those artists.
My brother was very heavily into all forms. So if it was coming out of New York, if it was coming out of the West Coast, if it was coming up from the South, like I was bumping Outkast, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music at like 9.
I don't think I knew
Players Ball, I can quote it word for word.
Only thing I remember from Outkast when I was growing up with it was Rosa Parks.
Right, but that's when they had already reached their fame.
Right, and then I caught on to them late. But I mean, just the aspect of where we are today now with technology, of how music is now, you can catch something and listen to it, and then it's sent out across the web, and people end up liking it.
Absolutely, streaming is the best thing that happened in music. Honestly,
yeah, it is. I
literally credit LimeWire and what was that other one?
Kazaa, FrostWire, all that,
all of those for bringing
Napster, the original, the OG, triple OG,
bringing all of music, making music accessible.
Well,
really and truly, that's what really gave a lot of these younger artists the platform to get on where they are now. And shout out to
Soulja Boy. He was his thing.
What was that social site that everybody was on before, like Facebook? And
MySpace. MySpace had my walls. Had letters from the wall. Had music playing.
I do miss the MySpace.
I mean that mid '90s hip hop, like that's the Biggie, that's the Pac, that's the. The
Biggie, that's the Jay,
Nas,
that's the Tupac in there.
Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt album falls in there, and we can have a hip hop debate. We got two other mics here who will come through and say this, and I'm gonna put this out there in the world. I would say just like if you watch the hip hop evolutions, they'll even admit it that there was a new sound that came into New York, especially with all the DJs, and the producers, going like you said, like earlier, going to the Roosevelt, going to find this music, going to find that music. But Biggie really opened the door for a lot of these artists not to get on, but to get out, so that you can listen to other things. And I even said it to someone, even a hip hop head, and I was like, he thought I was blasphemous when I said this. I said, if it wasn't for Beanie Siegel being on Rockefeller, Jay-Z would not have gotten out as much as he did.
I mean, you are now you passed. If we're doing chronologically, you jumped ahead.
I went there. Okay, well, so I put that as
we're still at 9394.
Okay, now reminisce. Got you.
So what happened after that was there was this onslaught really through like 96, 97, kind of right after Pac and Biggie died, that hip hop went through another change. And that's where you get your Ja Rules, and I call them your flashy rappers. The Midwest came about. Listen, I rocked with Ja Rule like everybody else. People wanted to hate on Ja Rule so bad. And for those who don't know, he was that rapper that was associated with that Fire Festival that went up in smoke, literally. But he was, what was happening? He was on that song with Jay-Z.
Who?
Ja Rule. That's when he debuted. Was on that song.
Emilion.
And Emilion. So it was like you have these moments where these people are part of mainstream hip hop. I mean, DMX was heavy in the streets back then. EVE. You had so many of these amazing people who came through hip hop. But honestly, had it not been for hip hop, a lot of these people probably wouldn't have gotten where they are today. They wouldn't be the business men and women that they are today. So they use it as a jumping off point for other avenues. You know, it's the thing that glues us together. And, you know, I know a lot of people who know me know I trap on Tuesdays.
Tuesday trap music.
Tuesday traps. I might be dropping that soon, so just check my Instagram for that.
Well, not just that, but remember we talked about setting up a Spotify playlist. So
yeah.
We should do that because we're actually on Spotify too. Listen to us.
Yes, we're now on Spotify.
We've been on Spotify for a while. But I mean, in the whole sense of it.
But I feel like every couple of years, hip hop goes through an evolution. It moves faster than I think any other genre. And
for it to be part of the culture and everything like that,
how is urban culture.
So my question for you is, how do you, as a Too Cool parent, or is anyone listening, as a parent guardian of a young mind, how do you evolve with it to not to stay hip, but to show? I'm trying to phrase this question.
How did I get stuck in saying, "Oh, yeah, this is the best time"?
This not the best time, but how do you translate it to? How will you translate it to our kids?
So I do it all the time. London, she gets in the car. It started way back when London was born. I used to play The Chronic for London. I used to play Gin and Juice. What was the other one? What else did I used to play for her? I used to play a whole lot of like early 90s hip hop for London. And a lot of it was just to immerse her in the music and sonics that I loved, that I grew up, and hope that she loved it too. I played Outkast. We trapped on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. You know, I'm a firm believer in getting your trap out before you go into the building, into the office building, so you can have a productive day. But a lot of that is just immersing her in that culture. I'll do the same for a Christian. I think it's so important to show your kids what you love. Tell them why you love it. Is hip hop going to be the only thing? No, I plan on sharing the entire catalog with them. And I know you joke all the time on my playlist because you're just
her playlist be. I'm sorry.
I'll go from like Christmas music to like
I'm like whose music is this?
Taylor Swift to then like
I'm like
some dope boy trap music.
But then she'll be like, "What are you listening to?" It'll be some Afro beat, some small joint. She'll be like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "No, I listen to it for this one little thing. Hear that little ding in the back? That's my little part. Like ding." I should be a producer.
But to answer your question, I definitely immerse my kids in the music that is current. Now London is of the age now where she brings pop music over. I don't know pop music a lot because I'm not in that realm, but I definitely, rock out to it, listen to it if it's something that she likes. Like she loves, what's the girl with the ponytail? I am terrible with names, just so you guys know. Ariana Grande. She loves Ariana Grande, and she also loves Taylor Swift. That's also a reflection of who's in her class. So I always like to have her. All right, your friends like Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande.
But she'll grow into that.
You like Beyonce and you love Lauryn Hill.
Are you forcing that on her, or are you making her listen to it?
I'm just making her listen to it so she can have a well-rounded catalog.
Okay, I feel you on that, and I feel the same way because after
listen to everybody and then decide what you like.
But as she gets older, and as children get older, their ears change, not just physically. But I'm talking
Ours
about
too.
Our music has changed. Like my dad said it to me. I was like, "Dad, why you always playing this jazz?" He's like, "Man, when you get older, you gonna appreciate this music," and he is right. I do, because as I gotten older, my ears have changed a little bit. I'm like, I don't feel like hearing this right now. I'd rather listen to this. To some people, like I remember this one young lady I was messing with back in the day, in my Hampton days, and she's like, "What do you listen to? Why you listen to jazz?" I said, "Well, jazz lets me think." She's like, "What for?" I said, "It allows me to get my emotions out while I'm writing or whatever I'm doing. This is boring music." I'm like, "Well, what do you listen to?" She's like, "I listen to trap." I'm like, "Well, I guess it's not gonna work."
And trap has its place. Like, don't get me wrong, I love listening to it. Will knows I drive to trap music. That helps me keep going. It gives me energy. That's why I listen to it. But I have my moments when I want to be mellow. I have my moments when I want to be in my New Jack Swing. I have my moments when I want to be, all cried out. And I want to go back there and I want to listen to Mariah Carey's first album and cry. There are times when I just One Sweet Day, and I'm having a Boyz II Men moment. There are all these moments that I have. And I think it's important that, we understand that music is the soundtrack of our lives. It literally grows with us as we get older. I don't think I'll still be listening to, these young cats. Like, we were watching the BET Awards, and I had to, ask the question, what's the difference between DaBaby and DaBaby?
Well,
I didn't know who was who, what was what.
There's Baby, there's Lil Baby, and there's DaBaby.
The only baby I knew was Baby. Yes, Birdman from
Birdman Hand Rub.
Yes, from Big Timers. So I didn't know that there was new babies.
That's what I'm saying.
Our concert. So it's one of those, where you were just like, all right, I have to learn what's new. I still ain't listen to a Baby, DaBaby, who's Baby, whatever's Baby. But it's the same thing as like when, all the littles were popping up. It was like, who is Little something and who is Lil this and who is the only littles we knew was Lil Kim and Lil Wayne. But now there's the genre is evolving. So hip hop, to bring it full circle, hip hop went through its initial stages. It got rebirthed. It turned into, gangster music, and New York's hardcore answer to West Coast gangster music. The South came strong, and right now, the South is dominating. There's no real big hip hop heads coming out of New York. There are a few. Drake is taking over. He's from Canada.
I feel like Drake is on a decline.
Well, yeah, because Drake's personal life takes precedence over his lyrical.
Well, not just that, but I just feel like,
trust me.
I feel like
he's in the blogs for the wrong reasons.
That too. I'm not in the blogs. I stay out of it. I stay neutral. They call me Switzerland over here. But I feel like sometimes I think that the average lifespan of a hip hop artist in the game is 10 years, because that's a generation.
Yeah.
And Drake's generation is literally. I remember the first time I heard Drake was 2008. He's pushing on 11, and he's at 11 years right now. But
you had to realize Drake also rode the Young Money train, and the Young Money train is over.
Yeah,
like it exited stage left. Not to say that Wayne and Nicki and Tyga and all of them people that were on the label, aren't individually doing their own things. It's just as a collective, I don't think it's going anywhere anymore. And they dominated like the teens rap scene. So like anywhere from like 2012 to like early. No, I think it was like 2007. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2007 through like 2015, they were dominating the airwaves.
Oh yeah, it was like
with Young Money songs. They was coming up with albums all the time,
and that's without Lil Wayne.
Yeah, and so, and there are artists that will trans. What's the word? Transcend. Do I want to say trans? Yeah, who will transcend the times. I think you have, like, seriously, like, if certain artists come out with stuff, people are just going to flock to them. There are diehard fans now of Jay-Z, even though they call him Beyonce's beard.
He's Beyonce's beard?
He's just there.
Oh.
He's literally just there. Like, nobody is checking for a Jay-Z album. Like, they really, when Beyonce comes out with a Jay-Z album, I take that back. When they come out with a joint album, everybody's like, we just want a Beyonce album. We don't necessarily want a Beyonce and Jay-Z album. I still think that there are still hip-hop heads who love their artists and want to hear more music from them. I think right now what's happened is it's hard to make music in the industry with the difference in these 365 deals where the label controls so much. That's why so many of these artists are coming out as independent. So many of these artists are kind of figuring out their own different ways, these new emerging artists. Like, that's why people love Cardi so much. Cardi put out her own music for so long. Like, she is literally America's sweetheart right now. She can do no wrong. And everything that's going on with her, I think is because... I kind of
see you saying with there, yeah.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
Yeah. If you can go and pull up a Cardi mixtape that she put out herself. Now she has the backing of a label. She has, $1 million deals and everything. But originally we saw her on TV, like broken teeth, just that was Cardi on TV on Love and Hip Hop New York for years before she became, the cover of Vogue.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like we always love an underdog story.
We do. So I think the moral of it all is just and tying back again to us being two cool parents.
We can get into it. We can
do this for almost 2 hours, but I ain't got time, and I know our listeners don't have time for all that. But I feel that, for our children, it's just growing as hip hop has grown and evolved.
Growing up hip hop.
We're the growing up hip hop generation. Hip hop has grown up and evolved, so it's changed, and we have to understand that. And where it comes to the two cool parents aspect of it is that we have a new generation of children that we're raising, and we have to be able to not just speak to their level, but understand their level within it. And this is how we have had to grow and understand, what hip hop is today. And what music is today in general, not just hip hop, but hip hop is the new pop star. It's the new thing that's touching everything. Originally, and the funny thing is, it was when it first came out, because remember in the Evolution docuseries, everybody put out a rapping album, rapping Rodney Dangerfield, and you had the 85 Bears, I think, did a hip hop song or a rap song.
It was the new cool wave.
It was the cool wave. Now it's the wave now.
And now it's the current wave. I think that, and you and I were talking about this, like that techno dance, that wave is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That
disco's on its way back.
Yeah. And to bring it kind of full circle, as what Will was kind of hinting at before, I was watching Pose, and I realized that whole
house.
So disco is the predecessor of hip hop. So right after disco,
it is. They even admitted it.
Yep. Right after disco was when hip hop took off. So if you are wondering what happened to disco, it went underground. So it turned into house music, and it turned into what gay black culture, ballroom culture, danced to and partied to in the balls of New York. And it wasn't just in New York, it was happening in Chicago and kind of probably every major metropolitan city, but it was underground. And so your dance, disco, all of that went underground. Well, now, if you notice, there has been a resurgence of kind of like the Ultra Fest. An explosion of techno and disco beats are coming back. People are going back in the crates and finding those old disco songs.
Well, yeah, like
repurposing them now into major tracks.
One of my favorite artists today is Tom Misch, and he's a British artist, and he has this record on his new album called "'Cause I Love You," and I found the record he sampled. It took me like a couple weeks to find it when the album first came out, but it's a disco record, and it's disco was the disco died for hip hop's sins.
Yeah, for hip hop's birth, right. Disco died.
Disco died for that, and then now you have hip hop today.
Well, hip hop do we want to call it hip hop? I mean, Nas came out with an album called "The Death of Hip Hop." I think it's still alive.
But then he just jumped on the Black Eyed Peas.
He did.
Record called "Hip Hop Is Alive."
It's
still alive. There's still boom bap beats for our golden age hip hop heads. It's now evolved to this new joint, and I mean, don't get it twisted. Some of these new cats actually got little bars on them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they got some cool melodic beats. They got some good bars, but you just have to.
I think it's also a reflection of the time.
It's a reflection of the time, just like how back then. New York music was a reflection of what New York was, and in the music of the Bay and Southern California, like NWA's first album was a reflection of what they saw and what they were going through.
Absolutely,
and what we still kind of go through today. So it's
right now hip hop is going through that pills and
there's no identity crisis right now in it. There's no identity crisis. It's a new branch. Every tree starts off with the base, and it grew. And it grew from, like you said, the disco piece, and now you have these branches. in these limbs and these pieces going out from the tree, and then
Absolutely.
everything is still connected. Because if you break it down, because now they're sampling music that we listened to growing up, which means
that's crazy when you hear a sample.
That means
from the new version,
right? That means they're listening to the old music that we listened to, which means they got it from the music beforehand. So it's all good.
It is coming full circle. And like when you hear a song and you're just like, "Dang, they sampled SWV." They sampled, Changing Faces. They sampled, it's so many different samples now because they're able to, reach back into the crates and figure out all that stuff.
Right.
And say, you know what, let me explore with this one. Let me explore with this. Whereas when we grew up, sampling was kind of king.
Right.
Now it's like, all right, these new hip hop heads are coming with their own beats. But like in the documentary series, they might be pulling out just a small sample.
Right. Well, we found out how they did it. Yeah. And they had this thing called the SP1200. I looked it up. It's like a $5,000 sample machine.
It's literally called a sampling machine.
Yeah. It's but it was shout out to Large Professor and everyone who showed us on the docuseries how they did it. And I was like, yo, this dope. And it literally had me go back into my Amazon cart, and wrote this down as one of my manifestations is to learn how to do other aspects of music. I've been, classically trained to play violin, clarinet. I can do that, but I'm like, I want to teach something to my kids. And I found this one app. It's not an app, it's a program. And it's called Melodics. And I talked about it last year with Shay about I want to teach the kids how to play melodics. I spent a lot of time playing NBA 2K, which I'm not banning 2K. That's
another episode.
It's a whole other episode, but I want to teach the kids and spend more time with them. So on Melodics, you can learn how to play the piano, learn how to play chords and everything. It teaches you how to become a producer. You can get a MIDI drum kit, a bass, beat machine, and the chord pieces, and you learn how to make your own music. And these kids now can take it and learn how to program it and do all this. It's an opportunity for them to learn. So if you're ever looking for it, it's called Melodics. It's online. You do gotta pay for it. The download's free, but if you want to get the courses and classes, you do have to pay for it. So that's my piece.
I do want to say that I think that having music in schools is so important. Like, it's one of those things that helps you with your everyday life. You don't realize it, but every good boy does fine is the keys on when you read sheet music, and it translates so well for Black children. It's one of the things that my nephew does for his autism therapy is music therapy. It helps him process and understand things so he's able to function in the world. Children, I think, do better. Adults do better when they're around constant music that will help them get through their day. The issue I think we have is, like Will kind of talked about, is everything is so expensive now. It's like, do we want math?
There's no one on your block that teaches music like they used to.
Exactly. There was something beautiful about, and I do think that if you don't know how to play the piano, it's something that everybody should know how to. The basics of the piano. It is the backbone of every music. It's the backbone of all music. It's the backbone of all kind of instruments is the piano. It is one of the simplest musical instruments to play, but I think it's so important to teach your kids. If you don't teach them anything, teach them how to play an instrument. It doesn't matter which one. It could be there are notes for the triangle. If you have kids who want to play the triangle, ding, there are notes for that too. It just teaches you when to come in. It teaches you to follow the beat. It teaches you how repetition works. It teaches you how, to stay on 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 1, 2. And the amazing thing about hip hop, especially in this documentary, was how hip hop heads broke tradition down and built it back up in a new way. So they would take those 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can hear it in the decades. If you listen and go back to music, things that were on the 4s are your traditional Motown music. 1, 2,
or James
3,
Brown on
4,
the 1.
2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And so you could get into, and you can hear it. It's called period pieces. You hear it in music. DJs and producers and things who have like their own signature. Like Pharrell has his own signature. You know a Pharrell beat when it drops.
Pharrell has a 4 count in every beginning song.
Yep.
Doom, 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 doom. Or right, or like, you know, when he did La La La. Doom, 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 doom. Right, yeah.
It is always a signature. And so that is the amazing part of music, is that you can break it down. You can be on the technical side of music, or you can be on the creative side of music, but there is something in music for everybody. This documentary truly opened my mind and gave me a little bit more about the history and how you can break down different sounds, and why hip hop sound is so specific is because they isolated the drum pattern. That's really what hip hop is.
Yeah.
Was the isolation of the drum pattern. When you isolate the drum pattern,
it was taking unconventional instruments and unconventional technology and making it an instrument on its own.
So once you have that isolated drum pattern, you can literally add whatever you want to it. You can add music. You can add strings. You can add horns. You can add melodies. You can add whatever. But the best part about it all is when you have someone who can flow over top of that.
Oh yeah, the MC became like, you know, like originally was the DJ, and then it went from the DJ to the MC. That's just why you heard like, you know, Eric B and Rakim. You know, Rakim's name went second. Same thing as DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You know, and then it shifted once, you know, the MC became it. But I mean,
and now they're not MCs, they're just rappers.
They're not just rappers, but just the MCs. Like, I mean, there's levels to hip hop now. We can go into that later. Like, there's, you know, there's alternative hip hop. There's this hip hop. There's this.
New age.
There's so many different branches of hip hop now that have sprouted up from, you know, 1973. That we are very appreciative of, because it's the music that it's the soundtracks to our lives.
It is.
And
it really
it's allowing us to share moments with our children. Like, you know, there's music I can play right now that may be, you know, a Biggie, Jay-Z, or this whatever artist song. My dad may like it because it has a jazz undertone. I could throw on Tribe right now. My dad would love Tribe.
Yeah.
You know,
he would definitely love Tribe.
He does love Tribe. But, you know, it's just a great thing to connect generations and to utilize it. I actually just saw, especially with our educators being out of school right now. Shout out to the big homie Sean Woodley, you know, the Teach Hustle Inspire podcast. He's doing a seminar I saw that he posted about incorporating hip hop in the classroom.
And I think that's super important.
And that bridges the gap. So definitely hip hop is the culture. Not just urban culture, but the culture, because, you know, kids from all across America, all walks of life across the world love hip hop.
Oh yeah, you go to any hip hop concert and it's not just us there.
Yeah, it's everyone. Everyone who enjoys
blue,
it.
Black, red, green, blue. Everybody's, you know, represented.
Like Phife Dawg said, you know,
I like them brown, yellow, Puerto Rican, and
Asian. You know what I mean?
I say Haitian.
It's Asian. Like I'm pretty Haitian. But anyway,
because you know they got their own breed.
Anyway,
but to bring it full circle, because this is the Two Cool Parents podcast. Will's giving me the time limit. I do want to say that I think that it's one of those things that I don't just say hip hop, I say music. And one of our goals is to bring more music into our house for our kids. And I think that's so important as a parent, as a fan of hip hop, as a fan of music in general, that we expose our kids to as many opportunities from music as you can. Will, the other day, and I know this is shifting just a little bit, but he played what was it with the guy?
Who?
It was his own symphony. The guy who wrote the symphony. He was an actor.
Oh, Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, Anthony Hopkins.
He wrote a waltz.
He wrote a waltz. And I remember growing up having to learn how to waltz. Our kids don't know how to do that. But I think it's so important to bring back just some traditions and things like that that really help mold them into well-rounded individuals. That stuff you can use every single day. Not necessarily waltzing around, but just how to bring
and build music
together, bring it together.
It's a jack of all trades. It's a being able. You have
project
the ability,
management.
You have the ability to do different things.
Multitasking.
Correct. And, you know, that's another thing we can expound on.
These are all soft skills that you need for real life.
For real life. But
and you learn them in music class.
Correct. I will say I did.
You learn when to come in, when to stop, when to, bring the horns in. You learn when to...
Horns!
And people who grasp it and do it well, become your performers. Some people are spotlighters. But then there are people who are behind the scenes who really get into the technical aspect of it. Like, I love Pharrell's producing style. I think he's literally a genius. In front of the mic and afterwards. But to me, there's no difference. He's an artist. He's just one artist. But there's no difference in his love of music than mine.
Correct.
Because I love it too.
He just may have a more extensive record collection.
He probably does. So yeah, I ask everybody, I'll end on this. When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Boom. We're going to post that. I think I still got that from... we'll talk about that. But yes, thank you for listening. Again, you can check us out on Instagram at 2 Cool Parents Podcast. That's the number 2.
Cool Parents Podcast.
You can check us out on Twitter at 2 Cool Parents and Facebook page, 2 Cool Parents. We're going to get a little bit more stuff out there. We're going to, as you heard from our previous episode, Shay has a little bit more time. We're working on trying to get out to Vegas. So a lot of these things we're going to try to... Not just Vegas, but yeah, we're going to say Vegas. I like Vegas. I don't know why I just like Vegas. Vegas. But, Vegas. But again, please keep us...
We're going to be on his hip-hop head.
Right. Keep us in high spirits as we're going through this tough time right now, but we're still having great, joy and moments within this and healing from this. So we ask that you guys heal too and let us know what's going on with you. Thank you. Much love. Peace.
Peace.